Welcome to my channel Commerce with Vikas sir. This is my second video on economics. Lesson 2 I referred as lesson 1 and lesson 2, lesson 3 I will be referring like this. Today we will be discussing the central problems in economic system. So according to Professor Samuelson, central problems of an economy are generally referred to as what, how and for whom to produce. Resources are limited, but our wants are unlimited, so we cannot produce whatever goods and services we require. So we have to make choices. So we have to decide what quantities we need to produce, how much we need to produce, and which section of people should be targeted. That is very important. So let's discuss this thing in detail. What to produce and for whom to produce, and how much to produce and how to produce. These are the basic problems. So we start with what to produce and how much to produce. This problem involves selection of goods and services to be produced and the quantity for each selected commodities. What does this mean? We require different commodities, but resources being limited, we cannot produce sufficient quantity of each item. So we have to decide in advance how much resources should be used in producing which item. That is very important. Every country there is problem of resources, so we cannot produce, no country can produce whatever they want from the available limited resources. They need to decide in advance what they are going to produce and how much they are going to produce. So if I produce more units of commodity X, the resources will be used in producing more of X. It means less resources will be available for producing other commodities. So if I decide to produce commodity Y, then the resources available for producing commodity X will be limited. So we have to give priority which product is more essential. So we have to produce that commodities first. First, resources should be used in producing that commodities which gives optimal level of satisfaction to the overall benefit of the society. Then other commodity, then other commodity, then other. Likewise, the country has to decide, and economy has to decide what they are going to produce and how much they are going to produce. Second important topic is how to produce. This is very important. How to produce. We decided that I'll produce X, or I decided to produce Y. But which method of production we are going to use? As already explained in first lesson, some countries are rich in labor and poor in capital. Some countries are poor in capital but rich in labor. So depending upon the scarcity or relative scarcity of resources, we have to decide which method of production we are going to produce. So there are two basic techniques of production. One is labor intensive techniques and other is the capital intensive technique. So if you use more labor and less capital to use any commodities, it is called labor intensive techniques. For example, or if you use less labor and more capital, it is called capital intensive technique. For example, textiles can be produced either with a lot of labor and a little capital, or less labor or more capital. Availability of factors and the relative prices helps in determining the techniques to be used. What does it mean? See, in America, they produce textile commodities, but they have more capital and less labor. So they use more capital and less labor. They follow capital intensive technique. If we want to produce the same goods in India, we have surplus labor but scarcity of capital. So we have to use more labor and less capital in order to produce textile commodities. So the availability of resources in a particular country decide which method of production should they follow. Should they follow the labor intensive or should they follow the capital intensive? It depends upon the availability of resources. So this is very important. And lastly, we are going to discuss for whom to produce. For whom to produce. See, you have decided which commodities you are going to produce and how much you have decided, and you have also decided which techniques of production, which method of production you are going to produce. You are whether using whether you are producing labor intensive commodities or capital intensive commodities. You have once decided. Now there are different categories of people. See, the rich class, the middle class, and the lower class. That is very important. So which class you have to decide, that is very important. Here I just like to show you this problem related to the distribution of produce, goods and service among the individuals within the country. Selection of the category of people who will ultimately consume the goods, that is whether to produce goods more for poor and less rich, or more rich and less poor. What does it mean? See, if you want to produce Innova, then you should not consider the entire population of the country. You should target only the rich section, because only the rich section can afford to buy Innova. So while before producing or manufacturing Innova, one has to get a valid information relating to the total rich populations of the world, right? So likewise, some commodities may be produced on the basis of the religion. If that commodity is used only by the Hindus, then you have to study in detail the Hindu populations available in a particular regions or throughout the country or throughout the world. Then only your commodities will be sold. So you have to decide, before deciding how much to produce, you have to select the people. If it is produced for religious on religious ground, then you have to study the available population of the particular religion, like Hindu, Christian, Muslims and other. So if you are producing for the rich section, or if you are producing for the poor people, or if you are producing for the middle class people, then you have to decide. So because you must have the data relating to the consumers of that products, otherwise the products you will produce will not be entirely sold in the market, and your business will be a failure. So you have to decide in advance not only what to produce and how much to produce and how to produce, you even have to select the targeted consumers of your commodity. So this is my second video. Please like, subscribe and hit the bell button so you will be notified as soon as I upload my video. Please comment and comment so that how can I can help you. What videos should I upload, which topic you prefer, I may try to upload that videos. So thank you, have a nice day.